Hey guys, Rob here from the Off-Grid Tiny House. I get a lot of questions all the time on my solar system. What am I trying to power, etc, etc. Most people that are new to the channel that look at my system are dumbfounded and come to the wrong conclusion without watching the rest of my videos. So, to help that matter, I made a list of exactly what I'll be using off the grid in the off-grid tiny house. From my biggest loads down to the smallest, okay? So, starting with the biggest, induction stove. 1300 to 200 watts at 7 amps. Now, it's a shame it uses so much power, but I do love cooking on it because it cooks so fast. I probably won't be able to use it right away off the grid until I get a bigger system. So I'll have to do something in the meantime, use my little butane stove or whatever. Next, window AC. 500 to 700 watts at 4 amps. That will be used rarely, only on the worst of days. And I'll have to conserve on those days. Like, that's the only thing I'll be using, basically. Next, Panda washer and dryer. 500 watts at 4 amps. I probably will be using that at least once or twice a week for laundry. So, as you can see, the first three will probably maybe be used once a week at best. My mini fridge, 50 watts at 1 amp, and that cycles about every hour and runs for about 11 to 15 minutes, which isn't very much, and it doesn't draw that much power. So it does, when it first starts up, peak at like 300 watts for like a split second, but that's it. Then goes right back down to 50. Next, Xbox One at 45 watts. I don't have the amp readings for these because at the time I never took the amp readings, just the watts. 32-inch LED TV, 1080p, 30 watts. Boxy box, which is basically, if you guys know what Android boxes are, or multimedia devices like that, it's basically that. And that's 15 watts. And then my baby desktop PC is 14 watts. Lighting, I'm not sure about this one because I'm not living in the tiny house yet and don't know exactly what I'll be using for lighting. So I just wrote 10 watts because I have all LEDs anyway, so we'll figure that one out. And then internet modem, 7 watts. Now this is also an optional because I think I'll be getting a Wi-Fi connection wirelessly from inside a house to the tiny house. So this would be on their mains power of the house and not mine, off my solar. Next is the Aqua Cube. This is the tankless hot water system for the tiny house. And I recently did a video on it to check how much power it uses to charge the battery, internal battery inside of it. And amazingly, 8 watts and 0.08 amps. So not very much at all. So not worried about that at all. Now, that's basically everything I'll be running off the grid, guys. So these people coming into the comments saying, oh, you're doing your system wrong, blah, 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 have no idea what I'm running. So here is the updated list. And as you can see, I have 2 high-rated items at the top, induction and window AC. The rest is pretty manageable, especially the washer and dryer, since you only use that a couple times a week at best. And I don't think I'm going to have too many issues. If you guys spot any issues, throw them in the comments. I hope this resolves a lot of issues with people coming into the comments and blasting me for my solar design. As you can see, I don't have very large items, and I purposely bought these items for that, as energy efficient as possible. And that's what all off-gridders should do. They shouldn't be trying to run refrigerators and regular sized refrigerators. Mine is a mini fridge and pretty damn efficient. But I'm talking about people trying to go off the grid and run their entire modern house with modern equipment. Doesn't make sense to me, because we're not there yet in technology. And it doesn't make sense money-wise. So if you downgrade your equipment and still have the comforts of them, basically you can run all these for a long time off of solar and not have any issues. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and hopefully this resolves a bunch of stuff. Alright, so that's the biggest to smallest list for the off-grid tiny house. All my loads. And that's it for now, guys. Hey guys, Rob from the off-grid tiny house. Wanted to go over a lot of stuff with you guys. A lot of people that come along to the channel don't know what loads I'm actually going to be powering in the off-grid tiny house. So I made a list from biggest to smallest loads that I will be powering in the off-grid tiny house. So first is my induction stove. Now it has a range up to 1300 watts all the way down to 200 watts and draws 7 amps. So I probably won't be able to use it often at all because of that. So that's kind of a bummer, because I love cooking with it. But I'll see what happens as we go on. The next is the window air conditioner, and it has a range of 500 to 700 watts at 4 amps. The induction stove and the window AC will probably rarely be used, not at a full-time basis, okay guys? And neither is the next one, maybe once a week. Panda washer and dryer, 500 watts at 4 amps. I'll be using that probably once or twice a week, depending on how much laundry I accumulate. Okay, and the next thing is my off-grid fridge, mini fridge, and it runs 50 watts at 1 amps, and that's barely anything. I can have that on 24/7. It doesn't cycle very often. Maybe once an hour it cycles. So hey guys, Rob from the off-grid tiny house. Now I went over my biggest loads with you guys, and now I'm going to show you the how much power they use in DC. So that is the watts of the AC load divided by 12 volts, which is what I'll be using on my system, 12 volt system. And that gives you your DC amps. So watts divided by volts gives you your amps. The washer, the Panda washer, will give me 41.67 amps DC. That's how much they'll suck off the battery. Okay. The fridge, 4 amps DC. Xbox One 3.7 amps DC. TV 2.50 amps DC. Boxy box 1.25 amps. My baby desktop PC 1.17 amps. Lights 0.83 amps. Internet modem 0.58 amps. And I did some scenarios down here, guys. So having the TV, the Xbox, and the net on, 6.83 amps DC. TV, PC, and internet 4.25 amps. TV, boxy box, and internet 4.33 amps. Flip over, my induction stove draws insane amount of amps. Okay, so at 1300 watts divided by 12 volts gives me 108.33 amps. That's insane. At 800 watts on the induction stove gives me 66.67 amps DC. At 500 watts 41.67 amps DC. 200 watts 16.67 amps DC. So as you can see, I'll try to hit the lowest setting as fast as possible, and that should solve a lot of issues with that, but still that's a lot of amps. Window AC at 500 watts 41.67 DC amps. At 700 watts, I don't know if it's either 500 or 700, it will be 58.33 DC amps. So hopefully that gives you a clear picture of when you're taking AC readings and what they will do to your batteries in DC, because you got to know the two in order to get a good handle on your system. Okay?